Hi, everyone. I want to talk to you today about something that I was just speaking with a client about, and that is taking things personally. Because when we take things personally, it really muddies up our communication with other people. There are a lot of reasons why we take things personally. Sometimes that is our previous wounding or experiences or just what we're habituated to doing. We all have certain strategies that we run in our lives to help us feel safe that we're totally generally unaware of and unconscious of. So taking things personally can be one that many of us tend to do without even realizing it. But what happens is somebody says something and you interpret it in your mind a certain way that may or may not be the way that they intend it, but you believe that it's the way that they intended it because there was something that you picked up on and what they said that triggered something in you that brought up your defenses. And once that happens, communication tends to shut down because then we do get defensive. We go into all our ego fears and we tend to jump up into our minds instead of staying in our hearts where we can speak our truth. Because the ego mind's job, it thinks, as far as it knows, is to keep us safe and to keep us feeling safe and not to be hurt in our lives. Basically, if you take it all the way back to our primitive brains, to keep us alive. But today it's more about keeping us safe. So when somebody says something to us and we have some defensiveness against it inside ourselves, it says something to us about ourselves just by our interpretation, whether it was intended by the speaker or not. We take it personally, we get defensive, communication shuts down. We may go into reaction, which means we get mad or we stop listening, or we just try to defend or rationalize or explain ourselves or prove that we're right, whatever it is, whatever strategy we go into, once we've been triggered, once that little place in us that button has been pushed by something the person said, and they may, and in fact, typically say it very innocently, and it doesn't generally mean what we think it does or the way we interpret it. But once we make that interpretation, we jump to all kinds of conclusions in our minds because that's what the ego mind does. It brings up all this stuff from our past and tries to impose it into the present situation as if it's true, and it may or may not be true. But if we don't stop to ask questions and to find out the true meaning behind what the person said, then we just latch on to whatever our ego mind tells us is true, and we believe that to be the truth. And then we get defensive, and then we go into reaction, and then communication has stopped. So just a little tip about paying attention to when you take things personally, something that somebody else says personally. The way out of that is to ask questions for clarification, to make sure you understood exactly what they said and what they intended to say and the meaning behind what they intended to say, because it's very easy through our own internal wounds from past experiences to jump to conclusions that aren't true about what they said. And then communication stops at that point, or becomes tense, or we go into reaction, and nothing good can come of that. So just a little tip to be mindful of that today. That's all I wanted to share. Have a great day.